Hello, in this tutorial I want to talk a little bit about the timeline and in particular this little plus button here. And we want to talk about how this can be used to make some cool animations and how to use it right. So you see here that I've already applied just a simple animated multicolor. I have this little kind of educational kind of object here. And so now what I've got it now is with appear. So it really kind of ends at the, where it just stops. And if I want to have a more elegant transition after it stops, one thing that I could do is add a fade. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put the timeline here at the end. I don't know why. I don't think you necessarily have to have it there at the end. In fact, let's go ahead and not do it at the end. It's going to add something here at the end. It's going to add an aniblock. It's going to be empty. And so I need to apply an animation to it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is come down here to the fade option. And note that I don't have anything selected up here. This may be maximized or whatever, or expanded so I can see it, but I don't. As long as I don't have anything selected, one of these options, it's not going to apply that. What I want to do is turn on whatever animation that I want. In this case, I want to do a fade out, and I want to turn that on. And once again, I want to use the Groove It button, which, as you know, is essentially apply animation. So I'm going to click on that. Of course, I could have used a Shift Spacebar shortcut. And what it does is it applies that animation, and it basically fades it out. Now, one cool thing that you can do is I can take that as I can drag it over the top of the appear, and one of the benefits of that is it will continue to animate as it's fading out, as you can see there. And so that's a kind of a nice way to kind of get that to happen. And fade out is not the only type of animation that you can do that, where you overlap it on top of another animation. Let's take another look at another possibility, but first I want to point out, I'm going to drag that over to the end, and I want to show you here that if I move this, let's move this out of the way for a second. If I put this up here, the fade out is going to really still occur, and it follows along. It's not going to just stay in one spot or whatever. It moves along with it. This is kind of the object has these animations applied to it. So if I move this animation around, unless I'm dealing with the move to position option there, it's going to basically move around with it. So if I have a moving off the stage or moving on or various things like that, it's going to move with it, and so it doesn't affect the fade out. It's still going to fade out. So let's go ahead and do another object here. Let's do, how about this guy, and we'll move this over here. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a different stroke. I'm just going to draw in just a color. Let's do something dark that we can see. And so I'm just going to do a draw in. Oops, I need to go to solid color so I can do that. I'm just going to do a draw in. So what that means is it's going to draw in and then stop. So it's not going to do any out or anything like that. And so let's go ahead and apply that animation, and it just draws it in. Very simple. So I'm going to pause that, and let's come back to let's zoom out a little bit here and take a look at this timeline, get it over at the same spot so we can see the two different ideas there. And it's doing it about the same duration, about that 4 seconds. And so now let's go ahead and apply a plus to this. And this time, let's go ahead and move something off the stage. Let's move it, instead of doing the fade out, let's move it off the stage. So it's going to come over here. I'm going to do move out, and I'm going to have it go off the bottom of the stage. Actually, the top is a little closer, so let's do that. And I need to make sure, I've got that selected here. This one I don't necessarily turn on or off, but I do want to have some options selected there. And then I'll come over to Groove It and apply that animation. So it does it right away. And once again, I can drag this over the top so that, for example, it could be still drawing. You notice it's still drawing, and then it leaves as it's still drawing. I'm not sure that I would use it in that particular case, but I'm just letting you know that you can also do the kind of drag over functionality. Or I can actually do this. I can make it wait a little bit. So what would happen is it would be static, or just kind of pause there for a second before leaving. And so those are the sorts of things that you can do. The real trick here to adding that extra animation, it can seem a little tricky in the sense of applying a new animation when you add an aniblock. And really what you need to do is make sure, first of all, that it's selected. And when you come over here, you're not selecting any of the previous animation. You're not, like, if I had the draw in here, I don't want that on anymore. So I don't have it on. In fact, one way I can make it easier on myself is just go ahead and minimize it, get out of the way. And then come down here and select whatever other animation I want. Now, as you know, as we've put it out in other videos, you can combine animations. I can have a stroke animation at the same time that I have an offstage animation. One of the benefits of doing it this way, though, is that if I separate them, I can adjust the timing a little bit more in the timeline relative to the other things on the timeline, which can be a little bit more efficient than going in here and adjusting the items here and trying to see the results on the stage. Instead, I can have a fade in, and I can say, okay, well, I want to fade in here, and I might want to do my move out relative to that, and so forth. So this gives you some options. It gives you some versatility to do cool animations and make them match up to each other on the stage and the timeline much faster.